For a lot of us over 50, our natural nails just aren't what they used to be. They're thinner, more brittle, dry, and often have ridges, either vertical or horizontal. And for me, regular polish barely lasts like half a day before it starts chipping, and it never looks smooth because of the ridges in my nails. But I still want pretty nails, and I don't want to spend $50 to $70 to get them. Not to mention the hassle of driving to the salon, waiting, sitting there for an hour, breathing in the fumes. If you love treating yourself and getting your nails done is self-care and you really look forward to it, I am not bashing that. It's just not for me. But I have 3 easy, beginner-friendly options that I'm going to show you today. Sticky tab press-ons, pre-painted glue-ons, and glue-on tips that you paint yourself. Each one has its pros and cons, but they're all easy, they're all budget-friendly, and they won't damage your nails if done correctly. My goal with this series is to help you feel confident and capable doing your own nails at home without the stress, the damage, or the cost. And stick around to the end because I'm going to show you the remover product that I discovered that makes switching styles so easy, which is great if you get bored and want to change your color often, like I do. Now, before we get into the fun stuff, we have to prep the nails. And this is the #1 step that will determine if your nails last a full week, maybe even 2, or start popping off the first time you do the dishes. It's also super important in making sure that you get good adhesion of the tip to the nail, because if you don't, water can get underneath and that can cause problems with nail rot and discoloration and that sort of thing. You can see on this nail right here where I have a little bit of discoloration, and that's because 1, I left a set on too long, and 2, I didn't have good adhesion there and water got underneath it. So just take that as a little warning. Some supplies you're going to need for this step: a cuticle remover. I have the one from Sally Hansen. A cuticle pusher or an orange stick. A cuticle nipper. This is optional. Some people do not like clipping their cuticles. Some people do. I only clip if there's a hangnail or something like that. I don't like clipping around the entire nail bed. Alcohol and a lint-free cotton square and some nail dehydrator. The first thing we're going to do is remove the cuticle that's on the nail, and this will help the tip to really get down and adhere well at the base. If you have a lot of extra cuticle built up, then that is going to keep it from sticking well down at the bottom. So a little drop on each finger, and then we let it sit for about 15 to 30 seconds. And once it has started to work, you just use your cuticle pusher and gently push back the cuticle that has grown onto the nail all the way around, even on the sides. This step can take a while, so you don't have to do this all in one sitting. You could do the nail prep the night before while you're snuggled up in your jammies and catching up on YouTube videos on my channel. But do it gently. Don't scrape the actual nail itself. You're only getting that sticky cuticle stuff. And you can see here on the cuticle pusher that extra skin. I put down a towel, but I also like to just have a paper towel to wipe that on. You can also use the other end if you have some that you want to scrape a little bit more, but don't scrape aggressively. You don't want to make your nails sore. And we're just going to do that same thing on all the other nails. I haven't actually done this for a while, so it's kind of satisfying when it's been a while. Now, if you have trouble with your hand wanting to cramp or not being able to see what you're doing, if you roll up a hand towel and then place your hand on it, it can really bring it to an angle that makes it easier for you to see what you're doing without having to hold your hand up in the air or be at a weird angle or something like that. Now, the only thing that I will nip off is, like you can see, I think right here, where there's just a little bit that's connected. I will go ahead and nip that, but I am not going to cut all the way around. I have a really bad habit that I've had since I was a child of picking or biting my cuticles. I have been working really hard to try to break that habit, and honestly, my cuticles look the best that they, I think, ever have. So I guess I am being somewhat successful at breaking that habit, but if I cut all the way around, it makes my cuticles rough and jagged, which means I am much more likely to want to bite them instead of going and getting the trimmers and fixing it. Make sure that your tools are clean. Wash them before you start, and take a little alcohol on a cotton pad and wipe them off to disinfect them. You do not want infections around your fingers because you've used dirty tools. All right, this hand has had the cuticles pushed back. This hand has not, and I think on my thumb especially, you can see the extra cuticle here has been cleaned up. So I am going to go finish this hand and I'll be right back. Both hands are done and I have washed my hands. Now we're going to actually prep the nail. And to do that, I'm going to use a light emery board. I don't want something really rough. And we are going to do a light buff on each nail. This will help the glue to adhere. If the nail is shiny or super ridged, it's not going to stick as well. Be careful of those cuticles that you just did such a good job of cleaning up. You don't want to rough it up. And we're not going for completely smooth here. This is just lightly buffing the surface of the nail. And while you want to be careful of the cuticle, you do want to get all the way to the sides and the edges because that's where your nail's going to lift from if it doesn't get good adhesion. So let's just go around and do all of them. I'm also just going to even up the shape of the nail. You can see there's a couple that are kind of misshapen. And now my hands are all dusty, so I'm going to wash them and I'll be right back. I know that that's the boring part, but it's so important to protect your nails, keep them healthy, and make your manicure last. Let's get into the 3 easiest, most accessible to beginner at-home nail products, starting with the one I like the least. And that is the actual press-on nails with the sticky tab backs. This is a set from Impress, and they're actually really cool because they are color change, so they're kind of holographic. I wore these in the play that I was in recently, SpongeBob the Musical. My costume was purple and teal. These nails shift from teal to purple. I am actually not going to put these on my nails and demo them. I will tell you how to do them. But the reason I don't like them is because they really don't stay on well at all. They can feel loose. Sometimes I feel like if I touch the top of them, it feels like the back of it's popping up and it's just a weird feeling. I don't like it. They can snag easily and then pop off, and where did it go? I don't know. If by any chance you're going to an event and you need to put pantyhose on, or you wear compression socks, doing that scrunchy thing that you do with pantyhose and then pulling them up, you're very likely to lose one inside the pantyhose or who knows where. So just a word of warning, they are very unpredictable. I did manage to keep these on for 4 days of the show run, but I did them the night before and went to bed. So my hands were not in water for a good 8 hours. I pressed them down very firmly, and then several times throughout each day, I would go and, press them down again just to make sure that they were still really stuck. If your hands are in water a lot, they're going to be much more likely to come off. And sometimes when they do come off, they can leave a little of that sticky tab residue on your nail, and then that can be hard to get off. However, if you do want to wear them, they're great for single night events, or if you really like to change your manicure like daily or every other day or something like that, they might be good for you. And in general, they don't damage your nails when they pop off. Now, they come with a tab, and if you look at the directions here, that tab indicates the bottom of the nail, okay? So when you take it off, that's the part of the nail that you're going to put towards the cuticle. You would take the tab off, line it up with the cuticle so that it's straight, and then press it down. And I usually hold it for about 10 seconds or so. I feel like the warmth of my hand warming up that glue kind of helps it to melt better. Generally, the package comes with an alcohol wipe and an orange stick. And if you prep your nails, you will have more success with keeping these on than if you just wash your hands and plop them on. And if these are your favorite thing ever, great. They're just not mine. So those are the sticky tabs, not my favorite. So let's move on to the next one that is fast, practical, pretty, and great for beginners. and that is the Glue-On pre-painted nails. This set is Kiss, Bare But Better, and I think they are so pretty. I actually am going to put one of these on for you, even though I'm going to take it right back off. These, I think, are the sweet spot for a lot of mature women who maybe your hands are shaky, maybe it's difficult for you to paint your nails, maybe like me, regular polish doesn't last on your nails but like 4 hours before it starts chipping. And so you want pretty nails, but you just don't want to spend the time. Either you don't want to spend the money for gel polish, you don't want to wait for polish to dry, you want to just put them on and be done. This is going to get you that. And if your nails are ridged like mine, this is going to give you pretty smooth, shiny nails. So let me show you how to put these on. They have several sizes of nails and they often come with the glue. I'm going to go ahead and use the glue for this set, but then I'm going to use a different glue when I put on the third option. So the front is just for display, but on the back you can see all of the other tips, a small emery board, and again, an orange stick. This set from Kiss has 28 nails. Often there's enough in here for 2 manicures, depending on how the sizes work out for you. How do I get into it? There we go. This is listed as a medium length. The first thing that you want to do is size them. And ideally what you want is the nail to go sidewall to sidewall and a little bit under the cuticle at the base. Now, because of the shape of these, how they taper so much, I have a wider nail bed. My nails do not really taper much from the bottom to the top. And so this shape actually leaves a little bit of my nail showing right here. That's not ideal because that is actually going to be a spot that is prone to lifting. So I probably wouldn't do this shape again now that I know that. But I'm going to go ahead and put this on even though it doesn't fit the greatest because I'm not going to keep it on. So you're going to take your glue and you want to put some on the natural nail. And then also some onto the fake nail. You don't want to flood it, but you do want to get especially the edges covered. And I really just put a drop on there and then I'm using the tip to spread it out. Okay. Then you hold the nail at the tip, put it 45 degrees to your cuticle, and then press up from there. The idea being that you want to press out any air bubbles, and that's it. It dries really quickly. You do that for all 10, and when you're done, you're done. The downsides of this are, if you wear this all the time, these can get pricier. I think this set was around $7. So while it's still cheaper than the salon, if you change your nails once a week or even once every couple of weeks, you know, it can get pricey. And it can also be difficult to find a shape that matches your preference and also the shape of your nail bed. If you have really curved nail beds, you're going to want a nail that's more curved. And if you have really flat nail beds like I do, if you have really curved tips, then when you press them down and they flatten out, they're going to want to go back to that curved shape, and it can make your nails a little bit sore because it's like pulling up on them in the center. I don't know how to explain that. If you've felt it, you know what I'm talking about, but it is kind of important to match the profile of the nail. And by profile, I mean this curve right here. You want this profile curve to match the curve of your own nail bed as much as you possibly can. Another good thing about these is if one pops off and you're not ready to change them, you can just grab your glue and put it right back on. So these are great and I use them and love them, but my personal favorite, the most customizable, and I think the best value is the blank Glue-On nail tip. These have all of the benefits of the pre-painted Glue-Ons. They make your nails look nice and shiny and smooth. They have great longevity. They're very pretty, long-lasting, but these add an element of creativity and customizability that I think just takes it next level. And I think these can look truly salon quality when done with a little practice. You can get colors and glitter and add-ons and gems and whatever you want to customize these to fit whatever vision you might have for them. You also have a lot of control on the length and the shape. They come in so many varieties. This one is a medium active oval, As you saw in that previous demonstration, the really tapered styles don't work on my nails because I have a wider nail that goes wide all the way to the top. So I actually like an oval or a square. I think it fits my nail better. And you can also find them in a flatter profile or a more rounded profile. So I'm going to do a full set of these and go into a little more detail on how to get the best fit and the longest wear. This kit from Kiss comes with a nail glue. I'm not going to be using that. It's one of the dropper styles. I am actually going to be using this that I got from Amazon, and the brand is Melody Susie. Susie has a channel all about nails. It is more geared for those who are going to be nail techs than just kind of the average person, but there's so much information there that if you actually want to get more in depth, I highly recommend her for a resource. So the first thing you need to do to make sure that your nails are going to stay on well is to size them properly. Be careful opening your kit because the first time I did this, I bumped it and they all got mixed up and I had to sort them. That wasn't fun. So this one has 10 sizes and they go this way down in size. Okay, so these are the biggest. And we're going to see how this fits on my thumb. So there's a curved edge and then there's a flatter edge. It's usually thinner on one end than the other. That's the end that goes by the cuticle, the thin end. You want to make sure that when you put the nail on, it goes sidewall to sidewall. This one's actually a little big. It covers the side over here. This one is actually a little small. If I go to the sidewall on one side, you can see a part of my nail is showing, and that is going to cause lifting. So this one's too small. This one was too big. Let's see if this one is just right. Yes, it touches the sidewall on that side and on that side. Now, what if there wasn't a size that was perfect for my nail? What would I do? Well, you can take your emery board and file down the side just a little bit so that then it will fit your nail. So before I get started, I am going to pick out the right size for each of my nails and lay them out. It can also be helpful to have a Sharpie and make a mark on the ones that fit. So next time when you do this, you don't have to go through this again. My thumbs are not the same size. This is the second biggest, fits that thumb great, is a little bit too small for that thumb. So I am adjusting the biggest size to make it fit. It's a little bit too big. Much better. So I don't know if I've ever actually noticed before, but apparently the nails on my right hand are slightly bigger than the nails on my left hand. Huh. Okay, so I have them all picked out and sized, and my nails are prepped, so I am going to start putting them on. So my natural inclination is to pick up the tips with my right hand and start putting them on the left hand. However, I am going to suggest to you that that's not the best way to start. Put the nails first onto your dominant hand with your non-dominant hand nail-free. It's not quite as coordinated as your dominant hand, and it's going to be much easier to handle the tips without the fake nails on there. Your dominant hand is going to do just fine with the nails on. So make your life easy. Start with your non-dominant hand applying the nails to your dominant hand. If you're using the squeezy glue, I showed you how to do that with the pre-painted tip. With this one, you want to paint the glue onto the nail in a thin layer. This is why I like a brush, because it's easier to get all the way to the edges. Then take the tip and you want to put the glue onto the tip. That was a lot. And spread it out. Only about halfway up. You only want the glue onto the part that's going to be on your nail. Flip it over and you're going to set it down at the cuticle line and then press it towards the tip. The idea being to press out the air bubbles and then hold it down. Usually 15 to 20 seconds is enough to get a good adhesion. If you got a little glue outside the cuticle line, just use an orange stick and wipe it off. one tip applied. I've only had 2 salon manicures in my entire life. One when I got married 35 years ago, and that was just regular polish, and one when my son got married. And honestly, it wasn't because I didn't want them, we just couldn't afford it. So DIY has always been my game. But somewhere in my late 40s and 50s, my nails just gave up. They got thin, brittle, ridgy, breaking if I just looked at them wrong. At my first time doing these glue-on tips, I put 2 on crooked and almost glued my fingers together. But once you get the hang of the angle and the pressure, it really does get easy. And you just proceed and do all 10 tips the same way. So a little tip that I just realized, putting the glue on here and then trying to turn the tip over, obviously then you're going to end up getting glue on your fingers. But I just tried something on that hand that I want to show you because it works so much better. So after you put the glue on the nail, hold the tip the way you're going to have to put it on, and then flip it over while it's still in your hand and paint the glue on. If you give a little scrape of the brush on the cuticle end, it's going to give you just a little bit more glue, so when you set it down and then press it up, that glue is going to flow better underneath to the tip of the nail and fill in the spaces under the nail better. So again, just to demonstrate that technique, I'm going to be putting this tip on like this. So I'm going to hold it that way and flip it over and then put the glue on. I don't know why it's taken me this long to figure this out, but you are the beneficiary of my experimentation. And there you have it, all 10 nails securely applied. These are a little bit longer than I like them to be, and they have a little bit of a sharp burr here on the tip. So I'm going to file these down to a more manageable length. This is before filing, and this is after. I can still type, I can put my contacts in, take them out, and do everything I need to do. So, other hand, when you're filing, every now and then stop and check to make sure that you're getting them about the same length. Okay, all 10 nails are done, and I have checked the length and they're even. They are done, and I'm super happy with how they look. I will avoid putting my nails in water for at least an hour. The longer you can avoid water, the better. So putting them on at night and then going to bed is actually best, because then there's no water for, 7 or 8 hours, however long you're sleeping. And these will last 7 to 14 days, at which point I'm ready for them to come off because I'm ready for something new. If one pops off, it's really easy. You can file the glue off the edges and add a little more glue, stick it right back on there. If they start to lift a little bit, then that's when the dropper glue is kind of handy, because you can just kind of stick a little extra glue on there and put it back down. Because these are a blank canvas, they give you unlimited options for creativity and making nails that just really reflect your personality. And as you get more skilled, your creativity can just blossom. But painting them is going to be the subject for the next video, because this one's getting a little long. What do you do when you want something new? And this is the part that most of us dread. But removal doesn't have to be a nightmare, take forever, or involve acetone. So let me show you how to take these off safely with no soaking, no scraping, and no damage. And removal might be one of the most important steps for our mature nails, because our nails are already thin and brittle, and we don't want to inflict any more pain or damage on them. And so I found a product that works. This is the Melody Susie Nail Glue Remover, and it's fast, gentle, and damage-free. This isn't sponsored by Melody Susie. She has no idea who I am, but I've been looking for a while now for a nail glue dissolver that works quickly, doesn't damage my nails, and doesn't make a huge mess. I tried a couple of other nail glue dissolvers. One was from Temu. It was a brand called Tuing. So no surprise that it didn't work very well. It took a really long time, and I did end up having to do a lot more prying than I was happy with having to do. The other one, though, was from Amazon, and it's a brand called Curve Life. And you may have heard of it. I've seen people doing videos using those products, and most of their products are probably fine. But this nail glue dissolver, really didn't work very well. It took forever to get the nails off, and my thumb ended up coming off in pieces with a chunk left in the middle that I simply couldn't get, and ended up resorting to acetone and soaking it off. That's not what I was looking for. But this one was a game changer. I don't want to take these off right now. So I'm going to show you taking off another set and how this works. And the best part is it also works on those sticky tabs that I showed you at the beginning. And the tab comes off on the fake nail. It doesn't get left behind on your nail. And this little handy pointy tip right there is a game changer for getting these nails off, because when you start to get a little bit of lift, you slide that thing in there and you get the product right where you need it, and you don't have to try to jam a brush under there. And I'm telling you, this stuff is really good. So the way to remove these is you apply a couple of drops of remover at the cuticle line and let it sit for 10 to 20, 30 seconds, something like that, to give it a little time to work. Using an orange stick, you want to start to lift on the side or at the cuticle, wherever you can kind of get an in, and then using that pointy tip, slide it under there and put some more in. The way I like to do this is to use the orange stick and put it in and then slide it up the nail and just go in a little bit further each time, sliding it up, because what that does, I think, is it takes that glue out of there and just really gradually lifts. And as you need to, you can put more of this in, just a drop or two at a time. You don't need a bunch. And then I come from the other side and do it from the other side, and eventually you meet in the middle and the nail just is off. If there's any glue or residue left on the nail, you can put another drop or two on, use the orange stick, scrape it off, wash your hands, put a little cuticle oil on there, a little hand cream, and then I like to let my nails breathe for a couple of days before I put the next set on. So if removal scares you, this product changes everything. No foils, no bowls, no soaking, and no damage. In the next video, I'm going to walk you through how I paint these tips with gel polish for that smooth, glossy salon finish. I'm filming it next, and when it's ready, it's going to be linked right here. If it's not done yet, I'm going to put another video there for you to watch while you wait. If it's not up yet, but you want to make sure you don't miss it, then subscribe and turn your notifications on, set them to all. Thank you for watching. Stay confident, stay curious, stay you. I'll see you in the next one. God bless. Bye-bye.